birds have some of the most vibrant colors and patterns on their bodies than any terrestrial mammal. Birds can detect colors, so it's no surprise that they put on a beautiful show of colors and patterns. When it comes to physical characteristics, most bird species display sexual dimorphism, which means males and females can be easily distinguished. To attract females during mating, men appear more colorful and brilliant than females. Although beauty is totally subjective and it can't be ranked, but we make a list of 20 birds them you may like. Number 1. Nicobar Pigeon. The Nicobar pigeon may be found throughout India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands as well as the Malay archipelago. This colorful bird is a sight to behold in the open air. A 16-inch long bird, this one is a behemoth when compared to the common pigeon. It is a large pigeon. The head is gray, like the upper neck plumage, which turns into green and copper hackles. The tail is very short and pure white. The rest of its plumage is metallic green. The cere of the dark bill forms a small blackish knob, the strong legs and feet are dull red. The irises are dark. Females are slightly smaller than males, they have a smaller bill knob, shorter hackles and browner underparts. Immature birds have a black tail and lack almost all iridescence. There is hardly any variation across the bird's wide range. Even the Palau subspecies C. N. pelauensis has merely shorter neck hackles, but is otherwise almost identical. It is a very vocal species, giving a low-pitched repetitive call. On the Nicobar Islands, the most significant colony of Nicobar pigeons in modern times was found on Batty Mouth, a remote wildlife sanctuary between Car Nicobar and Teresa. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami caused massive damage on the Nicobar Islands, and to what extent Batty Mouth was affected is still not clear. But while everything on some islets in the Great Nicobar Biosphere Reserve was destroyed, Batty Mouth Lighthouse, a skeletal tower a dozen meters high, standing a few meters ASL at the highest point of the low-lying island, was little damaged and put back in operation by the survey ship INS Sandhayak less than 1 month after the disaster. An April 2007 survey by the Indian Coast Guard vessel ICGS Vikram found the lighthouse tower totally covered in vines, indicating rampant regeneration of vegetation, but perhaps also the damage to the island's forest was severe, as a cover of creeping plants is typical of early succession stages, while a photo of the lighthouse taken before the tsunami shows rather mature forest. Number 2. Golden Pheasant. The mountains of western China are home to the golden pheasant. Chinese pheasant and rainbow pheasant are other names for them. Pheasant males have golden yellow crests and brilliant red bodies, making them more attractive and vibrant than females. Compared to the male pheasant, the female is significantly darker in color. It is native to forests in mountainous areas of western China, but feral populations have been established in the United Kingdom, Canada, the United States, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, the Falkland Islands, Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, France, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. In England, they may be found in East Anglia in the dense forest landscape of the Breckland as well as Tresco on the Isles of Scilly. The adult male is 90 to 105 centimeters, 35 to 41 in length, its tail accounting for 2/3 of the total length. It is unmistakable with its golden crest and rump and bright red body. The deep orange cape can be spread in display, appearing as an alternating black and orange fan that covers all of the face except its bright yellow eye with a pinpoint black pupil. The adult female is 60 to 70 centimeters, 24 to 28 in length and weighs around 350 g. The male is around 500-700 g in weight. They feed on the ground on grain, leaves and invertebrates, but they roost in trees at night. During winter, flocks tend to forage close to human settlements at the edge of forest, taking primarily wheat leaves and seeds. While they can fly clumsily in short bursts, they prefer to run and spend most of their time on the ground. This type of flying is commonly known as flapping flight and is due to a lack of a deep layer of M. pectoralis pars thoracicus and the tendon that attaches to it. This muscle is commonly attributed to the stabilization of flight in other birds. However, the absence of this deep layer causes this mode of flapping flight is simply a mechanism that it shares with other ground birds in order to escape predators. However, they would rather prefer to simply run away and hide from their predators rather than to fly. If startled, they can suddenly burst upwards at great speed and with a distinctive wing sound. Golden pheasants lay 8 to 12 eggs at a time and will then incubate these for around 22 to 23 days. They tend to eat berries, grubs, seeds and other types of vegetation. The male has a metallic call in the breeding season. Number 3. Scarlet Macaw. Macaws come in a wide variety of colors, sizes, and shapes, but the scarlet macaw is one of the most striking. They are native to the tropical evergreen woods of Central and South America. There is no denying their colorful plumage is what sets them apart. Their backs are blue, and their wings are a bright crimson. Upper wings are yellow with a green border on monarchs. The scarlet macaw is a large red, yellow, and blue Central and South American parrot, a member of a large group of neotropical parrots called macaws. It is native to humid evergreen forests of the neotropics. Its range extends from southeastern Mexico to Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Bolivia, Venezuela, and Brazil in lowlands of 500 m up to 1000 m, the Caribbean island of Trinidad, as well as the Pacific island of Cuba. Formerly, it ranged north to southern Tamaulipas. In some areas, it has suffered local extinction because of habitat destruction or capture for the parrot trade, but in other areas, it remains fairly common. It is the national bird of Honduras. Like its relative the blue and yellow macaw, the scarlet macaw is a popular bird in aviculture as a result of its striking plumage. It is about 81 centimeters, 32 in, long, of which more than half is the pointed, graduated tail typical of all macaws, though the scarlet macaw has a larger percentage of tail than the other large macaws. The average weight is about 1 kilogram, 2 pounds 3 ounces. The plumage is mostly scarlet, but the rump and tail covert feathers are light blue, the greater upper wing coverts are yellow, the upper sides of the flight feathers of the wings are dark blue as are the ends of the tail feathers, and the undersides of the wing and tail flight feathers are dark red with metallic gold iridescence. Some individuals may have green in the wings. There is bare white skin around the eye and from there to the bill. Tiny white feathers are contained on the face patch. The upper mandible is mostly pale horn in color and the lower is black. Juveniles have dark eyes, adults have light yellow eyes. It is frequently confused with the slightly larger green-winged macaw, which has more distinct red lines in the face and no yellow in the wing. Scarlet macaws make very loud, high, and sometimes low-pitched, throaty squawks, squeaks and screams designed to carry many kilometers to call for their groups. The scarlet macaw can live up to 75 or even 90 years in captivity, although a more typical lifespan is 40 to 50 years. Number 4. Bluebird of Paradise. A lot of people, including bird specialists, believe that the Bluebird of Paradise is the most beautiful bird in the world, and it's easy to understand why. Males are distinguished by their brilliant blue tails, ivory bills, and white eye rings, while females are black on the head, breast, and rear. Arguably one of the most fabulous of its family, the Bluebird of Paradise is among the larger birds of paradise, being around 30 centimeters, or a little over a foot in length, rivaling some of the Paradisea and Manucotia species. Unlike the Paradisea birds, the male is mostly glossy black overall with silver-white crescents surrounding the eyes in both sexes. They have a very crow-like bill that is whitish to light grayish in color. The back of the head has a reddish gloss that stretches down to the mantle, or back. A defining feature found in both sexes are the shiny, blue wings that are more commonly light blue but can range from light blue, aqua, or even a skyish baby blue. The tail is also like this. Stretching from the tail are two blackish and elongated wires with small, whitish spatulate tips similar Paradisea male's wires. The most brilliant and distinctive feature present on the male are the fine, silky elongated flank plumes that are mainly a dull amber color on the surface. Below, they are a light blue, based by two dark crimson lines on each side of the lower belly. These elegant features help the male create an illusion for his potential audience. The female, however, is more or less similar to the male. Of course, she lacks the opulent flank plumes and tail wires present on the male, but she does sport bright blue wings and tail feathers like the male. Instead of having an all-black underside, she is chestnut brown below with blackish barring. Her head and neck are more duller also, with only a faint reddish gloss present. They have purplish-gray legs and feet and grayer claws. The wires on the Bluebird of Paradise are 25 inches long. The Bluebird of Paradise is mainly a frugivorous species, feeding on a good variety of fruits like figs, drupes, berries, but animal prey is also present in the diet. It includes insects, but also likely takes some vertebrates like reptiles. They typically feed alone, though females and juveniles are more likely to feed in trees in association with other birds or other species. They are shown to search high in the canopy when seeking fruits, and apparently forage at lower altitudes when in search of their animal prey. Number 5. Flamingo. Flamingos usually stand on one leg with the other tucked beneath the body. The reason for this behavior is not fully understood. One theory is that standing on one leg allows the birds to conserve more body heat, given that they spend a significant amount of time wading in cold water. However, the behavior also takes place in warm water and is also observed in birds that do not typically stand in water. An alternative theory is that standing on one leg reduces the energy expenditure for producing muscular effort to stand and balance on one leg. A study on cadavers showed that the one-legged pose could be held without any muscle activity, while living flamingos demonstrate substantially less body sway in a one-legged posture. As well as standing in the water, flamingos may stamp their webbed feet in the mud to stir up food from the bottom. Flamingos are capable flyers, and flamingos in captivity often require wing clipping to prevent escape. A pair of African flamingos which had not yet had their wings clipped escaped from the Wichita, Kansas, zoo in 2005. One was spotted in Texas 14 years later. It had been seen previously by birders in Texas, Wisconsin, and Louisiana. Young flamingos hatch with grayish-red plumage, but adults range from light pink to bright red due to aqueous bacteria and beta-carotene obtained from their food supply. A well-fed, healthy flamingo is more vibrantly colored, thus a more desirable mate. A white or pale flamingo, however, is usually unhealthy or malnourished. Captive flamingos are a notable exception. They may turn a pale pink if they are not fed carotene at levels comparable to the wild. The greater flamingo is the tallest of the 6 different species of flamingos, standing at 3.9 to 4.7 feet with a weight up to 3.5 kilograms, and the shortest flamingo species has a height of 2.6 feet 0.8 meters and weighs 5.5 pounds, 2.5 kilograms. Flamingos can have a wingspan as small as 37 inches, 94 centimeters, to as big as 59 inches, 150 centimeters. Flamingos can open their bills by raising the upper jaw as well as by dropping the lower. Number 6. Red-necked tanager. Endangered in eastern South America, the red-necked tanager has yellow-orange wings, a red chin, a deep blue head and neck, and a vivid green underside. Handsome small tanager that inhabits the canopy of humid forests, forest edges, and woodlands, often accompanies mixed-species flocks and visits feeding stations. Mostly green with a blue crown and throat and red cheeks and nape. Males have a black back and females are duller with a mottled black back. It is found in Brazil, Argentina, and Paraguay. Its natural habitats are subtropical or tropical moist lowland forest and heavily degraded former forest. Number 7. Blue jay. The blue jay measures 22 to 30 centimeters from bill to tail and weighs 70 to 100 g, with a wingspan of 34 to 43 centimeters. Consistent with Bergman's rule, jays from Connecticut averaged 92.4 g in mass, while jays from warmer southern Florida averaged 73.7 g. There is a pronounced crest on the head, a crown of feathers, which may be raised or lowered according to the bird's mood. When excited or aggressive, the crest will be fully raised. When frightened, the crest bristles outwards, brush-like. When the bird is feeding among other jays or resting, the crest is flattened on the head. Its plumage is lavender blue to mid-blue in the crest, back, wings, and tail, and its face is white. The underside is off-white and the neck is collared with black, which extends to the sides of the head. The wing primaries and tail are strongly barred with black, sky blue, and white. The bill, legs, and eyes are all black. Males and females are almost identical, but the male is slightly larger. The black plumage on its nape, face, and throat varies extensively between individuals. It is believed to assist in recognition between individuals. As with most other blue-hued birds, the blue jay's coloration is not derived from pigments but is the result of light interference due to the internal structure of the feathers. If a blue feather is crushed, the blue disappears because the structure is destroyed. The actual pigment in its feathers is melanin. This is referred to as structural coloration. The blue jay occurs from southern Canada and throughout the eastern and central United States south to Florida and northeastern Texas. The western edge of the range stops where the arid pine forest and scrub habitat of the closely related Steller's jay begins, generally in the eastern foothills of the Rocky Mountains. Recently, the range of the blue jay has extended northwestwards so that it is now a rare but regularly seen winter visitor along the northern U.S. and southern Canadian Pacific coast. As the two species ranges now overlap, C. cristata may sometimes hybridize with Steller's jay. The increase in trees throughout the Great Plains during the past century due to fire suppression and tree planting facilitated the western range expansion of the blue jay as well as range expansions of many other species of birds. From 1966 to 2015, the blue jay experienced a population decline along the Atlantic coast, but a greater than 1.5% annual population increase throughout the northern part of its range, including Labrador, Nova Scotia, southern Quebec, and southern Manitoba. The northernmost subspecies C. bromea is migratory, subject to necessity. It may withdraw several hundred kilometers south in the northernmost parts of its range. Thousands of blue jays have been observed to migrate in flocks along the Great Lakes and Atlantic coasts. It migrates during the daytime in loose flocks of 5 to 250 birds. Much about their migratory behavior remains a mystery. Some are present throughout winter in all parts of their range. Young jays may be more likely to migrate than adults, but many adults also migrate. Some individual jays migrate south one year, stay north the next winter, and then migrate south again the next year. To date, no one has concretely worked out why they migrate when they do. Likely, it is related to weather conditions and how abundant the winter food sources are, which can determine whether other northern birds will move south. 8. Mandarin Duck. The Mandarin duck, found only in China's far eastern provinces and Russia, is a sight to behold. It's a riot of color, there are far too many to name. However, in a similar fashion to the peacock, only the male of the species is showered with gifts. The Mandarin duck is a perching duck species native to the East Palearctic. It is medium-sized, at 41 to 49 centimeters long with a 65 to 75 centimeters wingspan. It is closely related to the North American wood duck, the only other member of the genus Ix. Ix is an ancient Greek word which was used by Aristotle to refer to an unknown diving bird, and galericulata is the Latin for a wig, derived from galerum, a cap or bonnet. Outside of its native range, the Mandarin duck has a large introduced population in the British Isles and Western Europe, with additional smaller introductions in North America. The adult male has a red bill, large white crescent above the eye and reddish face and whiskers. The male's breast is purple with 2 vertical white bars, the flanks ruddy, and he has 2 orange feathers at the back, large feathers that stick up similar to boat sails. The female is similar to the female wood duck, with a white eye ring and stripe running back from the eye, but is paler below, has a small white flank stripe, and a pale tip to its bill. 3. Both the males and females have crests, but the purple crest is more pronounced on the male. Like many other species of ducks, the male undergoes a molt after the mating season into eclipse plumage. When in eclipse plumage, the male looks similar to the female, but can be told apart by its bright yellow-orange or red beak, lack of any crest, and a less pronounced eye stripe. Mandarin ducklings are almost identical in appearance to wood ducklings, and very similar to mallard ducklings. The ducklings can be distinguished from mallard ducklings because the eye stripe of Mandarin ducklings stops at the eye, while in mallard ducklings it reaches all the way to the bill. Various mutations of the Mandarin duck are found in captivity. The most common is the white Mandarin duck. Although the origin of this mutation is unknown, the constant pairing of related birds and selective breeding is presumed to have led to recessive gene combinations, leading in turn to genetic conditions including leucism. Number 9. Peacock. Peacock is the term given to the male member of the peafowl family that goes by that name. Peafowls come in 3 varieties, Indian, Congo, and green. Peafowls of the Indian subcontinent is the most widespread. The iridescent tail feathers of male peacocks, birds, provide for an eye-catching show. Peafowl is a common name for 3 bird species in the genera Pavo and Afrapavo within the tribe Pavonini of the family Phasianidae, the pheasants and their allies. Male peafowl are referred to as peacocks, and female peafowl are referred to as peahens, although peafowl of either sex are often referred to colloquially as peacocks. The two Asiatic species are the blue or Indian peafowl originally of the Indian subcontinent, and the green peafowl of Southeast Asia. The one African species is the Congo peafowl, native only to the Congo basin. Male peafowl are known for their piercing calls and their extravagant plumage. The latter is especially prominent in the Asiatic species, which have an eye-spotted tail or train of covert feathers, which they display as part of a courtship ritual. The functions of the elaborate iridescent coloration and large train of peacocks have been the subject of extensive scientific debate. Charles Darwin suggested that they served to attract females, and the showy features of the males had evolved by sexual selection. More recently, Ahmad Zahavi proposed in his handicap theory that these features acted as honest signals of the male's fitness, since less fit males would be disadvantaged by the difficulty of surviving with such large and conspicuous structures. Number 10. Victoria Crowned Pigeon. The blue crowned pigeon, also known as the western crowned pigeon, has huge blue crests on its head and deep blue feathers surrounding its eyes. These are considered the most beautiful in the West. The common crowned pigeon or blue crowned pigeon is a large, blue-gray pigeon with blue lacy crests over the head and dark blue mask feathers around its eyes. Both sexes are almost similar, but males are often larger than females. It is on average 70 centimeters long and weighs 2.1 kilograms, 4.6 pounds. Along with its close and very similar-looking relatives the Victoria crowned pigeon, Sclater's crowned pigeon, and Sheepmaker's crowned pigeon, it is one of the largest members of the pigeon family. The western crowned pigeon is found in and is endemic to the lowland rainforests of northwestern New Guinea. The other species of crowned pigeon inhabit different regions of the island. The diet consists mainly of fruits and seeds. Hunted for food and its plumes, it remains common only in remote areas. Due to ongoing habitat loss, limited range and overhunting in some areas, the western crowned pigeon is evaluated as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species. It is listed in Appendix 2 of CITES. The western crowned pigeon was first described by the German naturalist Peter Simon Pallas in 1764 and given the binomial name Columba cristata. A molecular phylogenetic study published in 2018 found that the western crowned pigeon was most closely related to Sclater's crowned pigeon. Number 11. Red-crested Turaco. Africa is home to the endangered red-crested turaco, Turaco erythrolephus, also known as the Latin name Turaco erythrolephus. They may be found in sub-Saharan Africa savannas, woods, and forests. They're around 20 inches long and less than 1 pound in weight. Their diet consists of a wide variety of plant materials, including seeds, fruits, flowers, and leaves. The red-crested turaco weighs 210 to 325 g and is 45 to 50 centimeters long. It looks similar to the Bannerman's turaco, but differs in crest and face colors. Both sexes are similar. They are seen in flocks of up to 30 birds, or in pairs. They usually remain in trees, only coming down to eat or drink. Red-crested turacos are monogamous. Both mates build a flimsy nest 5 to 20 meters above the ground in dense foliage. After laying eggs, both birds incubate the eggs. The young leave the nest at 4 to 5 weeks old. The red-crested turaco is the national bird of Angola. Number 12. Horned sungem. This unusual-looking bird may be found in the South American rainforest. There are horns on horned sungem. Two carefully arranged feathers on this hummingbird create the impression of horns. However, only the males of the species have these horns, as well as having a more colorful coat of fur than the females. The horned sungem is 9.5 to 11 centimeters long and weighs 1.8 to 2.8 g. The male is dazzlingly adorned, with red, blue, and gold feather tufts above the eyes. Its crown is a shiny dark blue and its back and rump bronzy green. The central pair of tail feathers are green and the rest white. The two innermost pairs are very long. The throat, upper breast, and much of the face are black while the neck and belly are white. The female is plainer, without the horns, or the male's black of the throat, breast, and face. The horned sungem is found across much of central Brazil, in the east from southern Maranhão south to São Paulo state, and then west to western Mato Grosso and into Bolivia's Santa Cruz department. It is also found in a small area of southern Suriname and another in the northern Brazilian state of Amapá, and has been reported outside of its normal range in far western Brazil. It inhabits a variety of semi-open to open landscapes such as gallery forest, woodland, cerrado, grassland, and gardens. Though it is mostly found below 500 m of elevation, it occurs as high as 1000 m. Number 13. Snowy owl. The snowy owl may be recognizable to anyone who has seen the Harry Potter films. Harry Potter had sent the owl as a messenger. The snowy owl, an extremely rare species of owl, is a fascinating bird to learn about. In both North America and Eurasia, they're considered a native. Males are all white, while females have a few black feathers on their backs. The snowy owl is mostly white. They are purer white than predatory mammals like polar bears and Arctic fox. Often when seen in the field, these owls can resemble a pale rock or a lump of snow on the ground. It usually appears to lack ear tufts, but very short tufts can be erected in some situations, perhaps most frequently by the female when she is sitting on the nest. The ear tufts measure about 20 to 25 millimeters, 0.79 to 0.98 in, and consist of about 10 small feathers. The snowy owl has bright yellow eyes. The head is relatively small and, even for the relatively simply adapted hearing mechanism of a bubo owl, the facial disc is shallow and the ear is uncomplicated. One male had ear slits of merely 21 mm times 14 mm, 0.83 in times 0.55 in, on left and 21 mm times 14.5 mm on the right. Females are almost invariably more duskily patterned than like-age males. In mature males, the upper parts are plain white with usually a few dark spots on the miniature ear tufts, about the head and the tips of some primaries and secondaries, whilst the underside is often pure white. Despite their reputation for being purely white, only 3 out of 129 Russian museum specimens of adult males showed an almost complete absence of darker spots. The adult female is usually considerably more spotted and often slightly barred with dark brown on the crown and the underparts. Her flight and tail feathers are faintly barred brown while the underparts are white in base color with brown spotting and barring on the flanks and upper breast. In confusingly plumaged snowy owls, the sex can be determined by the shape of wing markings, which manifest as bars more so in females and spots in males. However, the very darkest males and the lightest females are nearly indistinguishable by plumage. On rare occasion, a female can appear almost pure white, as has been recorded in both the field and in captivity. There is some evidence that some of the species grow paler with age after maturity. One study's conclusions were that males were usually but not always lighter and that correctly aging is extremely difficult. Sometimes individuals either get lighter, darker, or do not change their appearance with age. On the other hand, with close study, it is possible to visually identify even individual snowy owls using the pattern of markings on the wing, which can be somewhat unique in each individual. After a fresh molt, some adult females that previously appeared relatively pale newly evidence dark, heavy markings. On the contrary, some banded individuals over at least 4 years were observed to have been almost entirely unchanged in the extent of their markings. In another very pale owl, the barn owl, the sexual dimorphism of spotting appears to be driven by genetics, while, in snowy owls, environment may be the dictating factor instead. Number 14. Keel-billed Toucan. Among all bird species, the keel-billed toucan's beak is one of the most remarkable in the world. They may grow a 20 cm long colorful beak on their enormous heads. Because of its rainbow-colored bill, the keel-billed toucan is sometimes called the rainbow-billed toucan. Their beaks are a strange green-red-yellow color. Including its bill, the keel-billed toucan ranges in length from around 42 to 55 centimeters, 17 to 22 in. Their large and colorful bill averages around 12 to 15 centimeters, about 1/3 of its length. It typically weighs about 380 to 500 g. While the bill seems large and cumbersome, it is in fact a spongy, hollow bone covered in keratin, a very light and hard protein. The plumage of the keel-billed toucan is mainly black with a yellow neck and chest. Molting occurs once per year. It has blue feet and red feathers at the tip of its tail. The bill is mainly green with a red tip and orange sides. Keel-billed toucans have zygodactyl feet, 2 toes face forward and 2 face back. Because toucans spend a large portion of time in the trees, this helps the birds to stay on the branches of the trees and jump from one branch to another. The keel-billed toucan can be found from southern Mexico to Venezuela and Colombia. It roosts in the canopies of tropical, subtropical, and lowland rainforests, up to altitudes of 1,900 meters, 6,200 feet. It roosts in holes in trees, often with several other toucans. This can be very cramped, so the birds tuck their tails and beaks under their bodies to keep their body temperature at a normal level while sleeping. Adding to the lack of space, the bottoms of the holes are often covered with pits from the fruit the toucans have eaten. Number 15. Atlantic Puffin. Small and well adapted, the Atlantic puffin may be found in the northern U.S. and eastern Canadian coasts. As a result of its large, multicolored beak and penguin-like coloring, Atlantic puffins are often referred to as sea parrots. Puffins in the Atlantic Ocean spend most of their life on the ocean floor. While swimming, their water-resistant feathers keep them warm. They use their wings to propel themselves through the water, both above and below the surface. The Atlantic puffin is sturdily built with a thick-set neck and short wings and tail. It is 28 to 30 centimeters in length from the tip of its stout bill to its blunt-ended tail. Its wingspan is 47 to 63 centimeters and on land it stands about 20 centimeters high. The male is generally slightly larger than the female, but they are colored alike. The forehead, crown, and nape are glossy black, as are the back, wings, and tail. A broad, black collar extends around the neck and throat. On each side of the head is a large, lozenge-shaped area of very pale gray. These face patches taper to a point and nearly meet at the back of the neck. The shape of the head creates a crease extending from the eye to the hindmost point of each patch, giving the appearance of a gray streak. The eyes look almost triangular because of a small, peaked area of horny blue-gray skin above them and a rectangular patch below. The irises are brown or very dark blue, and each has a red orbital ring. The underparts of the bird, the breast, belly, and under-tail coverts, are white. By the end of the breeding season, the black plumage may have lost its shine or even taken on a slightly brown tinge. The legs are short and set well back on the body, giving the bird its upright stance when on land. Both legs and large webbed feet are bright orange, contrasting with the sharp, black claws. Number 16. Azure Kingfisher. These tiny to medium-sized birds, known as blue kingfishers, are excellent fish hunters, both from the bank and above the surface of the water. The Azure Kingfisher measures 17 to 19 centimeters in length and the male weighs 29 to 32 g while the female is slightly heavier at 31 to 35 g. It is a very colorful bird, with deep blue to azure back, a large white to buff spot on the side of the neck and throat, rufous buff with some blue-violet streaks on the breast and flanks. The feet are red with only 2 forward toes. The lores are white and inconspicuous except in front view, where they stand out as 2 large white eye-like spots which may have a role in warding off potential predators. The Azure Kingfisher is found in northern and eastern Australia and Tasmania, as well as the lowlands of New Guinea and neighboring islands, and out to North Maluku and Ramon. The contact zone between the mainland Australian subspecies is along the east coast of far north Queensland, between Cairns and Princess Charlotte Bay, and that of the New Guinea ones between Simbu Province and the northern Huon Peninsula, as well as south of Cenderawasih Bay. The habitat of the Azure Kingfisher includes the banks of vegetated creeks, lakes, swamps, tidal estuaries, and mangroves. It is common in the north of its range, tending to uncommon in the south. It is generally sedentary, although some seasonal migration may occur. Number 17. Painted bunting. Southern North America is home to painted buntings, whose Latin name is Passerina ceres. They fly south to Central America and the Caribbean during the winter. Unless they are reproducing, they will consume a wide range of insects in addition to seeds and grains. The male painted bunting is often described as the most beautiful bird in North America and as such has been nicknamed nonpareil, or without equal. Its colors, dark blue head, green back, red rump, and underparts, make it extremely easy to identify, but it can still be difficult to spot since it often skulks in foliage even when it is singing. The plumage of female and juvenile painted buntings is green and yellow-green, serving as camouflage. Once seen, the adult female is still distinctive, since it is a brighter, truer green than other similar songbirds. Adult painted buntings can measure 12 to 14 centimeters, 4.7 to 5.5 in length, span 21 to 23 centimeters, 8.3 to 9.1 in, across the wings and weigh 13 to 19 g. The juveniles have 2 inserted molts in their first autumn, each yielding plumage like an adult female. The first starts a few days after fledging, replacing the juvenile plumage with an auxiliary formative plumage, and the second a month or so later giving the formative plumage. Painted bunting eggs are pale blue-white speckled or spotted with brown. 3 to 4 eggs appear from March to July in cup-shaped nests usually built in brush or low trees, usually 3 to 6 feet from the ground but up to 12 feet. Number 18. Gouldian Finch. This colorful and beautiful Australian bird defies belief. Because of the variety of colors on its plumage, the bird is also known as the rainbow finch. Indian munia birds and sparrows are close relatives of these stunning birds. Both sexes are brightly colored with black, green, yellow, and red markings. The females tend to be less brightly colored. One major difference between the sexes is that the male's chest is purple, while the female's is a lighter mauve. Gouldian finches are about 125 to 140 millimeters long. Gouldian finches' heads may be red, black, or yellow. Formerly considered 3 different kinds of finches, it is now known that these are color variants that exist in the wild. Selective breeding has also developed mutations like blue, yellow and silver instead of a green back in both body and breast color. There are several prominent rounded tubercles with an opalescent luster at the back of the gape. These tubercles are commonly described as phosphorescent in spite of much scientific evidence to the contrary. It is believed that these tubercles simply reflect light and are not luminescent. Number 19. Cockatoo. There are several different species of parrots, but the cockatoo is the most well-known. The bent beak and crest of this bird help identify it. For the most part, you'll find this species only in those places mentioned above, plus New Guinea. Most cockatoos are one of 3 primary colors, white, gray, or black. These parrots are enormous compared to others of their kind. It may reach a length of 30 to 62 meters and weigh between 320 and 1200 grams when fully grown. Number 20. Bohemian Waxwing. The Bohemian Waxwing is a medium-sized songbird with a distinctive crest on its head and black masks. It has a brownish-gray hue, and its wings are edged with white and yellow. Consequently, this bird is one of the most eye-catching passerines around. In 2021, it will be one of the world's most beautiful birds. That's all for today. See you in another video. If you enjoyed the video and found it informative, then please like the video and share it with your friends and social media. Never forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon next to it. Share the video if we earn it. Thanks for watching.